everybody. My name is Russ Nolting. I'm the regional director for Colorado. And what I wanted to do today on our profit share monthly call is spend a little bit of time just kind of talking through the math of profit share. And while we do that, also relating it to the profit share proposals that recently passed at the IALC meeting at Mega Camp. And I'm going to kind of present this as if you don't know what we're talking about in terms of the proposals, because I know a lot of people, even in my market center in St. Louis, are somewhat clueless about what happened. The IALC is run by a chairperson. Mark King is the current chairperson to the IALC. The IALC is made up of delegates from every region. Our regional delegates are me, Ann Whipple, who's on here, Charles Coleman, who's on here, and Amanda Martinez Espinoza from the Grand Junction Market Center. Regional delegates include the regional director, one person from leadership, that was Charles, and then 2 agents. So these folks run a 2-year term on the IALC, and so long as they continue on a local ALC, their term continues, and that just provides a little bit of continuity. The regional ALC is made up of a couple people from each market center ALC in the region. And then, of course, we have our local ALC. One of the things that I've shared a number of times is this myth that's on the screen that says that changes to profit share are not allowed. There's often comments about profit share like it can't change. And it's a guarantee and whatnot. And you'll see on the screen right now that this does not include the most recent change, but this screen details 12 changes or potential changes that have happened to profit share since the program was created in 1984. And if you recall back to kind of the history, we started with revenue share. We changed it to profit share after we realized that revenue share was a challenging program, especially during times when market centers are less profitable. And there's been a number of additional changes over the years. We've had more levels than we have currently. Like right now, we have a 7-level system. We've had situations where the person who is creating the profit, the person with the sale, also gets profit share. That's changed. Now you don't get profit share when you make the sale, just your sponsor and 6 other people. We've changed vesting and various other things have changed. And then, of course, when we do this history of profit share timeline next time, we'll add the 2023 changes. Any questions before I go into a little bit about like the details of how profit share works? Any questions before we move into that? And I am going to get to the specific proposals. Profit share, unlike revenue share, is based on profit, and it requires profit. There's a calculation on the screen which kind of shows you how money flows through the MCA's office. We've got some MCAs on here. Market centers collect all your commissions. We pay Keller Williams the royalty fee, which is 6% up to $3,000 per associate per year. That gets us what we call the net gross commission. Then we pay our agents, Now, we always talk about our company as like a 70-30 split up to a cap. In reality, my math over a long time of doing this says that we pay out about 91% of what we take in. So really, when you average it all out, our associates get about 91%, market centers get about 9%. So we take the net gross commission, we pay the agents, and what's left over is what we call company dollar. Company dollar is used to pay the bills, and that creates profit. So in the example that you're seeing on the screen, $64,000 is the profit. I'm going to do these proposals in a different order because it made a little more sense to me. Proposal 3, which passed, is a proposal to raise the current OP or general manager's salary from $2,000 above the line. I'll explain that in a moment, to $5,000 above the line. So this, imagine there's a line right here. When we say above the line, we mean expenses that are allowed prior to doing the profit share calculation. In other words, what we would call KW approved expenses. Right now, if your market center has an OP that takes a salary, it can be no more than $2,000, must be approved by the ALC, and it can be taken prior to the profit share calculation. This is a big deal because what KW does, and a lot of associates don't know this, is we limit certain expenses prior to the profit share calculation. And we do that to protect our associates who want to earn profit share. In other words, an OP can't say, I would like a $300,000 annual salary and take it in such a way as to decrease profit share. They can only take $2,000 a month currently. Now, the vote allows that salary to be, with ALC approval, increased to as much as $5,000 a month. This was approved. It was approved. We did an oral vote at the meeting. My guess is 80% of the room liked it and 20% of the room didn't want it. And the objections we've heard on this is, well, the OP gets money from the shares that they own. They shouldn't take it from a salary that affects profit share. And the argument to that was, well, if a OP has shares in the company, they invested to get those shares, and your investment is different than your job. The other piece of the rationale on this is that the OP role has become more time intensive and requires more hands-on, and therefore it deserves to be higher. Any questions about proposal 3, which did pass?
Hey, Russ.
Is there any? Oh,
This
go
is
ahead.
Rodney Gustafson.
Hi, Rodney, and then we'll go to David.
Is there a job description for an OP that would identify the responsibilities of an OP that would justify the $5,000 per month?
If you go into KW Connect and you go into the resource tab that deals with leverage, you will see job descriptions for all recognized KW roles. And what I will say to that, Rodney, and it's a great question, is I do think OPs show up in different ways in different market centers. And I do believe that some ALCs will say, well, our OP shows up this way, and therefore we'll approve that salary. And other people we'll think of it with a different number attached to it. But if you go into KW Connect and go to leverage series, you'll see an OP job description. David, I think it was David.
Yep. So I think this is just a quick question. The approved expenses for the market center, that's got to be obviously the OP salary, the other office staff salary. Those are all limited, I guess.
Actually, the only salary that is limited by the policies and guidelines of KW is the OP salary. The broker salary might also be limited, actually, now that I'm thinking about that.
And the general manager.
And the general manager. When we say KW approved expenses, what that actually is it's the grand total operating expense for the market center minus other income. So if your market center bills back for rent, if your market center bills back for copies, if you have a joint venture with a title company that provides you with some income into the market center, that would decrease approved expenses.
Okay.
The reason, and I'll note that your market centers must turn in a budget every year to the region. We approve budgets. And so when we say KW approved expenses, it's based on what the regional team, Kelly and myself, and our MCA, Jenny, we approve budgets, and we also approve on a monthly basis any variances from the budget.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Any other questions on this proposal 3? Proposal 3 increases expenses and or potentially increases expenses, and it potentially decreases profit share because it's done prior to the profit share calculation. It also potentially decreases owner profit. And I will note this: an OP currently could be making $5,000 a month using that example, but they can only do $2,000 in expenses before the profit share calculation. They could take an additional $3,000 after profit share, which affects the investors of the market center and not the profit share program. So it is possible for a market center to have additional expenses that happen after the profit share calculation.
On the flip side, Russ.
Yeah.
Because it's more time and just thinking of it more positively is, yeah, it could decrease expenses, but it could potentially free up more time of the OP to do more revenue or profit related activities for the market center. So it's kind of maybe considered kind of an investment to do more of those activities.
Yeah, you could certainly, there's certainly a perspective that increasing the OP salary may cause the OP to change their orientation towards the role and the time that they should be investing, for sure. We also believe that there are market centers market centers are currently allowed to hire an OP who is not an investor in the market center. In other words, you could hire a professional OP. And this also could encourage a professional OP to take the role and give it all they got, because it becomes something that's a little more attractive than $2,000 a month. So step 1 was we calculate our profit. Step 2 is we figure out how much of our profit is going to go to the profit share pool. And we have, what's on the screen now is the old system, 3 levels of profit, that's staying. We used to take the first $29.90 of profit and do a 25-75 split in favor of the owners. In other words, when market centers are not very profitable in a given month, the percentage of profit share money is smaller. The second level of profit is the next 8250, which gets split also in favor of the owners, but not so heavily in favor of the owners. It's a 35-65 split. And then any profit over 11,240, which is this 2990 and this 8250, anything over that is a 50-50 split. This creates a delta between these two numbers of about $4,000. So if you see a very profitable market center that is consistently profitable over 11,240, if you take their owner profit compared to their profit share, the difference at the end of the year will be about $4,000 times 12 months. Under the new system, we're taking that first level of profit share from $29.90 and moving it up to $10,000. And the second level of profit share from $82.50 and moving it to $20,000. And then therefore anything over $30,000 is shared 50-50. This creates a delta not of about 4,000, but of 11,000. In other words, that same very profitable market center at the end of the year, instead of having a $48,000 gap between owner profit and profit share, the gap will be $132,000. So profit share proposal 2 decreases profit share. This, I know there's lots of numbers on this page. This kind of details it out a little bit more, and we'll share these slides. And you can see on here, where is it? The new difference is $11,000 versus the old difference was about $4,000 or $39.70. This bottom section here shows you market centers who this year had profit share above 11,240, between 11,240 and 30,000, and above 30,000, just to kind of give you a sense of how many market centers are affected by this change. Who's got questions about this? I recognize it's a ton of numbers. I should say on this, the rationale behind it is the cost of doing business has increased significantly. So it puts more money in the business's pocket, recognizing that rents keep going up, salaries keep going up. Colorado is a great example of a region where it just costs a lot more money today to run a market center than it used to. And what I'll say to that is, you know, one of my roles for KW Colorado is to help us attract talented people to become OPs and investors in these market centers and team leaders. And if the investment is not a business worth owning, it is really hard to find people to invest. And none of us can sell real estate at KW if we don't have investors that are willing to invest in our market centers. Any questions on this proposal? This passed also in a very at a very overwhelming level. The third step in profit share. So what we've done, we've calculated profit, and then we've calculated profit share. The third step is coming up with the profit share factor, which is just simply the difference between the amount of profit share for the month and the company dollar. And in the example shown, the profit share factor is about 25%. Looking back historically at KW, the reality is that the profit share factor has been hovering in the 16% or 0.16 range. And I do want to draw your attention to something. Profit share for KWRI in 2020 was 168. It went up a lot in 21 because we had a massive real estate boom. It dropped significantly in 2022. In fact, just a moment. On the screen, can you see this trend report? On the screen, you'll see profit share. Historically, we went backwards quite a bit in 2022 because the second half of the year was rough for real estate. And I do want to draw your attention to this section here, owner profits. Owner profits for KW peaked in 2021 and went back significantly in 2022. And KW's owner profit is down 36% this year. Now, most of us have lots of stories around that. Like, why is owner? Well, maybe the owners aren't running the business well. Owner profit is very driven by your commissions. So if sales are down significantly this year, about 33%, then your commissions are down very significantly across the country, about 33%, and profits are down very significantly as a result. And that contributes to this situation.
It's also a function of risk, right? So the owners are taking risk, therefore they're going to have bigger spikes, I guess.
For sure, 100%. And that's really why Proposal 2 is important for KW as a whole. Is it helps to mitigate those risks at a certain level. You know, the challenge that we see in practice is when owner profit in 2017, look at 2016 to 2017, 200, almost 200, just under 190 million, 218. ROPs across the country hired people during those times, got space. And I don't want to get into a conversation about the space that they got, but the reality is when you get space with this level of profit, and then you find yourself with this and this level of profit, partial year, suddenly you wake up and your landlord doesn't really care about the fact that sales are down. KWRI historically runs at approximately 34% profit margin and distributes about half of it to the associates. And just as a cultural comment, in most companies, the owners decide how to spend the profits. I mean, if you've worked for anyone else, you know, you get to the end of the year and the owners decide whether everyone's going on a celebratory cruise or you know what the bonuses are going to look like, or they decide to send you a fruit basket or a card to King Soopers so that you can buy your Christmas turkey or whatever. The owners decide how to spend the profits at the end of the year. KW does not think that you deserve what the owners want you to have in terms of the gift card to King Soopers. So instead, they give you the money and you can decide to use the gift to buy a gift card from Whole Foods, or you can decide to do something entirely different with it. That's part of our culture, is we give nearly half. I think we'll stop saying that with the new change. We'll probably say we give about 45% of the profits away, and we allow our associates to spend that money however they choose. So we disperse the profit share up the tree, and you can see the levels here. If you are an associate who creates profit in a given month, your sponsor is going to get 50% of the profit share that you create. Your associate's sponsor, your sponsor's sponsor is going to get 10%. Your sponsor's sponsor will get 5%. That person's sponsor 5, 7.5, 10, and 12.5, which distributes the profit share 100%. Proposal 1 at Mega Camp changed some of this. So what it said was that if your sponsor or your sponsor's sponsor or somebody is now what we call a vested competing associate, in other words, under the former system, they are vested and eligible for profit share. If they are competing at a different company, we can reduce their profit share to 5% of what they currently are getting. Now, they can come back to us in the next 6 months from when this change goes into effect. And all of these changes I've been detailing go into effect on or before July 1st. If they join within 6 months of that notification, rejoin, they'll be back into the system receiving all of their profit share. But if they don't, then that 95% that they're forfeiting will be distributed back into the system. And someone's going to ask me, how does the math work? I'm not clear yet on how the math works, but I will, as soon as I know how it works, I'll let you guys know. Tyson?
Question, yeah. How do we know, like, who's tracking in 6 months that they're a competitor?
Oh, who's tracking if they're competing?
Yeah.
Well, that's a great question. So no one is tracking. But Tyson, do you know anybody that used to be a KW associate that is currently competing? In other words, they're trying to grow their businesses through KW agents?
Plenty.
So if you let your leadership team know, then they'll go on our list of competing associates.
Sweet.
This is not a sweeping, everyone that's ever left loses profit share situation. If someone retired from us, if someone left and quietly went away to Porchlight, and now they're doing their thing and they're still collecting profit share and they don't care about growing their company to our expense, then they will continue to keep their profit share.
That's all I needed here. Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions on this?
I just FYI, I just got another email. I got an email from EXP, former KW agent, and he's actively doing a compare of their profit. It's not profit, it's revenue on their side. So
yes,
yeah,
I got that email 4 times yesterday. It's called revenue share versus profit share or something like that.
Yep. And I was just curious, just in general, I'm assuming you guys talked about these proposals in keeping in mind what the competitors are saying, or as a competitive, there's always that law of unintended consequences, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you guys talked that through when you're going through this, because as we're recruiting or trying to retain agents into KW, that becomes important, right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% clear on what you're saying there, but I think I will say this. The task force that put these proposals together, which I was not part of, did consider what our competition is doing. And I will say my personal understanding of what our competition does is this. we are much more generous. We have been much more generous in how we treat outgoing associates than what our competition is currently doing. So we're probably getting a little bit more in line of what everyone else does. David, did you want to comment on that?
Oh, no, I was just saying, like, their revenue, like, bottom line is at one point, Keller Williams went away from revenue share to profit share. And you look at any other companies that have grown or have how they finance their growth. The most successful companies are the most well capitalized, and they fund their growth primarily through profit. So, retained earnings essentially is what it is, right? So that being said, that comes with pros and cons, but cash is king. Again, so you're not beholden to debt, which is that kind of whole thing. So, I personally, I think it's a better model from a business perspective, long-term business success perspective than the other models, but it's hard to communicate that.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this, here's something that I love. KW got 150 or so IALC delegates together, and we voted in an open forum with a mic for pro and a mic for con. And even one of our delegates, stood up and they were against one of the proposals. And that is something that I love, because we say we're going to argue our ideas and get to consensus and vote. And I love that. So a few years ago at Mega Camp, a guy by the name of Chris Nevada got up on stage. I remember this distinctly because Chris Nevada sells real estate in Nevada. Does anybody remember this spiel? Jeff does. Like 3 weeks after he got on stage with Gary, he left and went to one of our competitors. And that competitor has 3 letters in its name. And it was a really kind of challenging thing because, we were all celebrating this guy and they left. Well, that person, Chris Nevada, recently went to a new company, and he put out on YouTube why he left his 3-letter company and went to this third company, which is not in Colorado yet. It probably will be someday. And I'll tell you what he said in this video. He said, until I got to my 3-letter company, I had no idea what their program was actually all about, because they never fully disclose how anything works. And he eventually left because they kept changing rev share and the stock, options or whatever. They kept changing that system in favor of the very, 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 very upper echelon people, the people at the top of the pyramid, and shorting everybody else without telling anybody. And that's not good for culture. So check that video out if you want. It's Chris Nevada on why he left his former company and went to LPT, which is not in, I don't think it's in Colorado yet. Anyway, I think we do a good job of being clear about what we're doing. And a lot of people don't like the decisions that were just made, but at least they were allowed to be part of the discussion. Anyone else on this? So how do you get involved in profit share? At the end of the day, we're still sharing profit. We think that by removing people that are competing with us and changing the levels in the OP salary potential, we believe that it's approximately a wash mathematically. About 25 to 30 million a year has been going outside the company to people competing against us. And we think that will probably, when we recover that, it will make up the difference between the levels that have been changed. At the end of the day, you still get profit share only if you help us grow. And I'll send these slides, but I think it's important for us at KW to continue focusing on how many people would I like to get into my downline, my profit share tree each year. One of my goals on my 411, one of my lines on my 411 is how many ads I'm going to have for my profit share, because I care about it, because it funds a lot of the things that my wife and I and these hungry mouths do. And I want to just share two things as tips to take away from today. If you are a great agent and you are nice, you will naturally add to your profit share tree. If you're a jackass, you will not. And pardon my language, but it is important to be a great agent and to be kind and to be helpful and to be an attractor to our company. It makes your life a lot better too. So being a great co-op is the first step to growing a profit share tree. The second step is simply inviting. You will note that this does not say go out and recruit people. And here's why it doesn't say that. Molly Malarcy, Charles Coleman, Jeff Overington, who else is on here? Janice Shuttler, and others are being paid to recruit people to Keller Williams. But if you're nice and tell them about nice people that you're meeting in the field, and if you invite people to training in your market center and regional training and family reunion coming up, you will grow your profit share tree. I've got 131 people in my profit share tree. The vast, I'm not particularly nice, but I do this a lot. I do a lot of inviting. So the Colorado region made all guests from other companies who show production. We made all of their tuitions exactly $0 for regional training in 2023. Kelly, how much is the Rocky Mountain Summit in September for a ticket?
$349.
So here's the deal. It's 340. Who by show of hands, who's going to the Rocky Mountain Summit next month? A number of you. It's $349. And if you go, you can bring a friend for free. In fact, you could have brought a friend to Quantum Leap last month for free. You could have brought a friend to, help me, Kelly. Pursuit of Profit Share. Maybe that's not the best one to bring them to. That was also free for guests. Kelly?
Listing Masterclass, Agent Financials, Career Visioning.
We basically have something on the calendar once a month, and you can always bring a non-KW guest for absolutely free. Right now, we have 200 people signed up for the Rocky Mountain Summit. We'll probably get to, last year we had 250 there. I suspect we'll get to 300 based on how things are going. We have exactly 2 non-KW people coming to the Hythe in Vail for this event. Wednesday is a luxury retreat. Thursday is masterminds. Friday is a day of panels. We've got great speakers. We've got MAPS coaches. We've got a performance psychologist who coaches the St. Louis Cardinals on performance coming. We have panels of your peers in Colorado. We got a ton of great content and 2 non-KW people coming up. And did I say that non-KW people at all Colorado events this year are exactly free? So what I want to encourage you, if you are this, invite somebody to join you at the Rocky Mountain Summit. Does that make sense? I believe that when people come to our events, they're impressed. Because I don't know a lot of companies that are doing what we're doing in Colorado right now. So I'll leave you with that. If you want to sign up for the Rocky Mountain Summit, you go to kwcoloradoevents.com and get yourself a ticket. But do what I did. The reason I have 131 people in my profit share tree is I had a theory. I was never going to go to an event to learn without somebody from another company sitting next to me. Because why bother? I mean, yeah, I want to grow my real estate business and that's all great. But man, if I can have a twofer, if I can grow my real estate business and help somebody grow theirs and get profit share, that's what we call a win-win. It's like a win-win-win, or maybe it's a win-win-win-win. It's a lot of wins. You guys have a great week. See you in Vail on the 13th of September. And by the way, you don't have to go to the luxury thing. You can just come on for the welcome party on the 14th. The ticket's a little cheaper, and do the big event on Friday. The hotel block is almost full. If you don't get a room through the block, the rooms are $500 a night. If you do, they're $239.
$59.
$259, whatever she says. Have a good day, everybody.